why a book on Dikshita is what I wanted to explore. But even prior to that, I think the Mangalam should answer most of your questions. The Mangalam that we just played, it's I wrote it in the Sanskrit language. It's a kind of a summarized version of the book. Mangalam is auspiciousness. Anybody attending Carnatic music concerts or singing is familiar with the typical Mangalam that bestows auspiciousness, which is sung at the end of a concert. So this Mangalam is dedicated to Dikshita. It's in 16 lines, each line describing some of the attributes of Dikshita. So even without getting into the presentation, I just thought I would just walk through the Mangalam. So the first line is, I have to get a different Shruti, B flat probably. So Dikshitendraya Satchidanandanadhaya Asmadacharya Guruguha Mangalam. The raga is Sama. There's a kriti which goes Guruguha Bhakta Anugrahaya, which is one of the Guruguha Vibhakti kritis. So on the model, the first line is Guruguha Mangalam. So Guruguha Namaste. The line is Dakshinamurti Shankaracharya Sannivaya Muthusvami Dikshitaya Nitya Mangalam. This is raga number 2 in the Raganga Raga scheme of Venkatamaki. It's called Phenadyuti. So Dakshinamurti Shankaracharya Sannibhaya. So one who was like Dakshinamurti and one who was like Shankaracharya. So Dakshinamurti is the teacher of the absolute truth. And what is the absolute truth of existence? The absolute truth of existence is just finding the distinction between what is real and what is unreal. We take the entire universe that we see, we perceive with the 5 senses as real. We go deeper, looking at our existence itself with the question, who am I, along the lines of Ramana Maharishi, where for those of us that are lucky, we come to a realization very soon as to what is real and what is unreal. And the reality is the Brahman, the infinity of existence, Brihat, Brahmandam, or whatever you call it. So that is real, everything else is unreal. And everything else depends on that for existence, Satyam versus Mithya, as you may call it. So this truth is taught by Dakshinamurti in silence. And you see Dakshinamurti portrayed as sitting under the banyan tree surrounded by 4 disciples. Adhe Mari Adi Shankara taught this truth, not in silence, but walking around, visiting many places, singing, actually doing Saguna Upasana on deities like in Tiruchendur and other places. And explaining this truth through works like Viveka Chudamani and all that. And similarly, if you come down to the generation of Dikshita, again, Adi Shankara had 4 Sishyas, right? Just like Dakshinamurti. And if you look at Dikshita, and the Tanjavur, the Pradhana Sishyas that he had, the 4 of them, the Tanjavur quartet, as we refer to them. So you see the 3 parallels, the 3 gurus who taught the essence of Advaita and the 4 students that they were surrounded by. Dikshita used the medium of music, Adi Shankara used the medium of lyrics, and Dakshinamurti used the medium of silence. Summa iru sollare endalume, like what Arunagirinatha says later. Okay. Third line is Maya vihina shuddha jnanaikya swaprakasha nada jyotishvaraya purna mangalam. This is raga Maya Malav Gaula, which is the raga of the first composition of Dikshita. So as you saw in the video, the picture is that of a yogi, or a Vriddha yogi dropping a piece of sugar into the mouth of Dikshita, after which he burst into song. So this yogi is described as none other than Murugan by Subbarama Dikshita, the nephew of Muthusvami Dikshita. And what's the connection here? Tiruthanil urayum malai Uthitharala Uruthan, Malay Virithan, and Ulatil Uray Karithan, Mail Nadathu Gogan Vele. Right? Yeah. And the Virithan, the old man of the mountain, Tirthani, that he is none other than Murugan. So it's when you put the two together, it's easy to imagine how Subbarama Dikshita projects that yogi as none other than Murugan. So Maya Vihina Shuddha Jnana Eka Swaprakasha Nada Jyoti Ishwaraya Purna Mangalam. So one who is that effulgence, the truth of existence, totally devoid of Maya. So that's the reason why the raga Maya Malagala here is here. The next line rhymes with it. Chaya rahita divyati pajoti prabhava Chamatkara Nagara Gehaya Mangalam. The raga is called Bhupalam. Bhupalam is the raga of the Kriti called Sada Achaleshwaram Bhavaye, which is written in Tiruvarur in praise of Shiva. In a temple called Achaleshwara, which is inside the Tiruvarur Tyagaraja temple, where it's believed that there are no shadows. This temple is built in such a way that there's no shadows cast in there. So, if you extend it, Chaya Rahita Divya Deepa Jyoti Prabhava Chamatkara Nagar. Chamatkara Nagar is Tiruvarur. Chamatkara Nagar is also Vadnagar in Gujarat, which is the birthplace of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. All these are referred to in a work called the Skanda Purana. So, technically, the removal of darkness is akin to the removal of the darkness of ignorance. The next line is Kamala Nagara Jataya Bakulavana Nivasaya Shri Kashi Sadhakaya Shuddha Mangalam. Kama Koti Punya Kshetra. I wanted to sing this when the Dairo was here. Kama Koti Punya Kshetra Chola Desha Vyapakaya Ashtaraja Pura Vihara Mangalam. So 6 places. I've divided Dikshitar's life into 6 hubs. So just like how you have airline hubs, so these are travel hubs. So the first one was his birthplace, Tiruvarur. The second one is Manali, where he lived as a teenager. The third one is Kashi. And the fourth one is Kanchipuram. And the fifth one is Tanjavur, basically the entire Chola Desam where he lived, whether it's Tiruvarur, Tanjavur and all kind of stuff. And finally, the resting place is Ettayapuram. Ashtarajapuram, that's how I translate it into Sanskrit. Yeah, the next one. And then Veda Bhakta Mantra Yantra Tantra Jnana Vritti Yukta Nada Marga Darshakaya Divya Mangalam Sagama Pani Sani Pamagasa. What's the ragam? Anyone? Sagama Pani Sa. Illa Sagama Pani Sa. Change the knee in Suddha Danyasi. It's called Udaya Ravi Chandrika. Udaya Ravi Chandrika. So, Yoga Bhakta Mantra Yantra. So, he condensed the essence of Yoga Bhakta Mantra, Yantra, all these Shastras. Tantra also. Jnana, in the Jnana Marga. Vritti Yukta. Combining all these. Nada Marga Darshakaya. Into the form of music. So, he distilled all of this into the Nada Marga and delivered it. Then the next line is Shri Ganapatya Vaishnava Shatha Shaiva Saurya Skanda Shanmato Pasakaya Mangalam. This line is fairly clear, right? So all the 6 religions, Shanmatam, he was unabashed in singing praises of divinity in any form, whether it's Ganapati or Murugan or the Navagrahas or Shiva or Parvati or Vishnu. No bias anywhere at all. The next line is Vilamba Kala Dhruva Padasya Gambhirayana Tulya Divya Kirtanani Virachitaya Mangalam. You can see that it's Hindustani, the raga is Hamir. So, Vilamba Kala is slow tempo, Dhruva Padasya, of the Dhrupad form, Gambhira Yana Tulya, the gait of an elephant is what Dhrupad is compared to. So, Dikshitar's compositions are also compared to that. And the next line is Vikampagita Kirtaneshu Navya Marga Shodhakaya Nitya Shuddha Buddha Jiva Mukta Mangalam. This is for those that are familiar with the Notiswara Sahityas. There's one Notiswaram which goes Jagadisha Guruguha Vidhi Vinutam Dehatraya Vilakshamanda Lakshanam Nityam Shuddham Buddham Muktam Nityam. So it's nothing other than an exposition on the Advaita philosophy, which Dikshitar has delivered on top of an Irish tune called Lord Macdonald's Reel. So the way I describe it is Vikampa Gita Kirtaneshu Navya Marga Shodhakaya. So he innovated, he created a new path basically, and he is nothing other than the Sachidananda of existence. Nitya Shuddha Buddha Jiva Mukta Mangalam. Then Ragamudra Prasa Susvara Aksharadi Shabda Chitra Yukta Vakeya Karakaya Mangalam. So he's a Vagekara. Ragamudra, Prasa, Swarakshara and Vibhakti and all these are Shabda Alankaras, as I would call it, to Shabda Chitras. And these are all an essential part of his music. Then the next line is Raganga Sampradaya Poshakaya Suprasiddha Vainikaya Gayakaya Vijaya Mangalam. So Raganga Sampradaya of Venkatamaki, he nourished that form and documented every single raga in that tradition. Raganga Sampradaya Poshakaya Suprasiddha Vainikaya Gayakaya Vijaya Mangalam. Then Aneka Sishya Jana Samuha Brindavanaya Karunya Sagaraya Cha Siddhaya Mangalam Lam Aneka Sishya